I got a question in the comments section asking me where I get my cross stitch patterns. I'm Michelle, this is my romantic tangle, and I'm going to tell you where I have found the patterns for the things I've been stitching. A lot of what I do these days is kits, and I buy kits through Amazon. I find vintage ones at the thrift store, but that is not the question I am answering today, which is where I find patterns. When I started stitching about 20 years ago, I spent a whole lot of money on patterns at my local needle workshop, and I was in a position where I was able to do that. I had some mad money and I invested it in fabric and floss and patterns. So thanks to that abundance of riches, I am a little bit less likely to be buying a lot of brand new patterns that I don't plan on stitching immediately. It's not a bad problem to have, and thank goodness my taste has not changed a whole lot over the years. I still love the full coverage houses and landscapes, and Victorian houses don't change. So I do a lot of working for my stash. I do pad my stash if I find a great deal at the thrift store, or if a designer comes out with a new pattern that I absolutely cannot live my life without stitching. But I'm buying less full price new patterns than I was back in the day because it's hard to justify when I have so many. So when I add patterns to my stash, where am I likely to get them? I still buy an occasional magazine. Back in the day, I bought every issue of Just Cross Stitch, every issue of Stitcher's World. I'm seeing less magazines that I love these days, although the Cross Stitcher is on Kindle Unlimited, and I saw some things there that I really think I might start picking these up. I do buy cross stitch magazines when I find them in the thrift store. The patterns in Cross Stitch and Country Crafts have aged well if you like traditional, not snarky stuff. Leisure Arts, I don't find as many of these. Cross Stitch and Country Crafts is everywhere, it seems, and dirt cheap. Leisure Arts I find less often, but they had a lot of Paula Vaughn back in the day, so it's worth taking a look at if you like her designs. It may seem weird, but check your local library. Mine has books of cross stitch patterns, some of them fairly old. And what tends to happen is they'll have a book and I will bring it home and fall in love with a bunch of designs and then decide I need to go on Amazon and order myself a copy of the book. I've done that more than once or twice or half a dozen times, but it's a good way to get a look at what you are buying and decide whether you want to own that or not. I stumble across charts in the thrift stores and at estate sales, not super often, but often enough that if there's something I like, I will pick it up. I think some charts have aged better than others. Paula Vaughn is one who still appeals to me. I also find, like I said, the Victorian houses, the landscapes, samplers. Now and then I will find something that I could have walked into the needle workshop and found the same chart. So if it appeals to me, I will snap it up, but those are fewer and farther between. I buy a handful of charts off of Etsy. I try to buy from the original designer. There are shops on Etsy selling PDF files of designs they do not own, so be a little bit aware of that. Also be aware if you are buying full coverage pieces, Pyramid of Skulls is the one that I bought, and I don't know this designer. I would not be surprised if they had just put the piece of classical public domain artwork through some pattern software. It wasn't super stitchable. It had a lot of confetti, some of which didn't make sense, but I enjoyed the challenge. So know if you buy full coverage stuff off of Etsy, you might want to see if other people you know have stitched patterns by that same designer to see what you're getting yourself into. I didn't mind it at all. And I also do a lot of freebies lately. Some of my favorites, and with freebies, I download from the designers own website or their Instagram or where the designer has posted links, because there are things, especially on Pinterest, that should not be there that have been uploaded by people who don't have the rights to put it there. And I do try very hard to be respectful of the artist's designs. So Barbara Anna Designs had some fabulous animals over the past couple of years. I love these. Pinker Pumpkin Quilting, I have been just gushing about for months now because I love her salt box houses. I think there are 18 of these now. Night Spirit Studios, I have done several of her designs. This one's the Plague Nurse. There was also the Self-Isolating Bat and Just One More Page. And Stone Street Stitchworks has some gorgeous ones. I think this one is called Flowers in a Window. I will put links in the description box to their freebie pages so you can find these. Check out your favorite designers. See if maybe they're offering some free patterns on their websites. And if they are, and you see one that you like, print it out, or at the very least download the files, because just because it's there now does not mean it will be there later. And I've gone back to stitch a couple of things I had bookmarked, and sadly they were gone. I will also say I spend less time at my LNS these days than I would like to. They're 100 miles from home one way, so that's a long drive just to browse. But if you have an LNS in your area and you have not been, go and just look at the eye candy and the shop samples and have the experience. If you find a chart that one of your friends online is stitching, you can order it from your LNS and they probably will ship it to you, which in my case would be cheaper than driving up there. That's where I get my charts lately. Like I said, a lot of what I do these days is kits, because the designs that I love most tend to be being put out by the producers of kits these days. Let me know if you've got a great pattern source that I miss. These are by no means the only places to find patterns, or where I am saying that you should find patterns. This is where I find patterns. Thanks for watching. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle, and I'll be back with you soon.